Well, let's take a look at what's making news in print and online. And we're joined this morning by author and ABC Radio Melbourne presenter Lisa Leong. Very good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. You hungry too? Those dishes look fantastic, didn't they?
Always hungry.
Yeah.
Always hungry. You and me both.
I shouldn't have skipped breakfast this morning. Actually, that looked delicious.
I always have a coffee first, and then I have a boiled egg.
Oh,
a boiled egg.
It's
yeah, a bit
quite
of
famous. Everyone just knows that I'm. You know, when I go out for breakfast, I just have my boiled egg.
Just a boiled egg.
Yeah,
that's
just
it.
a boiled
And how many minutes for the boiled egg?
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Good
okay.
question.
Yes.
Oh, right.
7
Yeah,
minutes, and it's perfect.
A lot of debate about that.
Yes. Yeah. So I've perfected it.
Now, Lisa, we have had some pretty rough weather here in Victoria.
Yes.
But up in Darwin, it might be the start of the wet season. It's grab your brolly up in Darwin after a beautiful dry. So it is a reminder, isn't it, just to look forward to summer as the season's changing.
Yes, so we're all talking about the weather at the moment because we had a little bit of a scare. We've had some bushfires in Victoria, and I know that there are bushfires in New South Wales as well, in Bega. And then we had floods, and it was just a reminder again that we're expecting quite a harsh summer. And so those are reminders of how do you prepare right now for things happening in summer and to be in that mindset, especially as an emergency broadcaster. So we're now looking at how do you prepare, especially when you're going on holidays. So people are already starting to plan what are they doing for summer holidays. So things like make sure that you know the landscape in which you're going into. Where are the evacuation centres as well?
Evacuation centres, most importantly. We saw quite a few people in New South Wales caught up in the Bega Bermagui fires this week, second week of school holidays there.
Yep.
And that was the overriding advice given by the Premier and other fire authorities. Just know where to go.
Yeah.
Know the way out when it's safe to do so, but if you can't, know where the evacuation centre is.
Yeah, and the other things that you can do is just do a little bit of prep into what are your ABC local radio stations as well, so that you've got your battery-fired radio operating, understanding the different warnings that you have as well. So just doing your prep, especially for those things.
Yeah. And the ABC is the emergency broadcaster. Always remember that. Let's move to the Courier Mail. We often talk on this show about needing to do more to get more kids educated in science, tech, engineering and maths. Well, the Queensland Government is doing something along those lines.
Yes, so it's just been announced that they're going to have a strategy that focuses on being tech ready for the future. But in particular, their strategy focuses on quantum computing. Now, you know, when it comes to, I guess I've got to frame this a little bit. So in 1993, I started studying computer law, and we were showing the internet for the first time. And it was only between universities. It was a green screen, modem, lots of noise. I came out and I announced to the whole lab, the internet, it'll never catch on. So I am not a forecaster.
Yeah, it's still
However,
yet to catch on, isn't it?
quantum computing is going to be massive. And as an intellectual property lawyer, well, a former one, the amount of patents that people are starting to really register, it's really interesting to see where in the world people are registering their patents. And it's going to be big because I mean, I don't know that much about quantum computing, except that it'll just mean that the computing is that much faster. It's going to do some pretty incredible things.
And we need kids to be ready for the kinds of jobs that are going to be around in, say, 15 years.
Yeah, and it's hard to think, isn't it? Because we always think in a linear way. So what are the jobs? Oh, I'll be a coder. But actually, quantum computing might change things like the ability to predict the weather a bit better. It'll change things like we'll have designer drugs, so personalised drugs for us. So thinking about, well, what are the jobs that, you know, might be useful for the future, that future.
Opportunities and challenges down the track. Now, before we get to the final story in the Financial Review, I remind you, Bridget, we are bound as ABC journalists to strict editorial codes here.
No, not on footy. We're not
objective, not subjective, because we're about to talk about Collingwood. And for those who don't know, Bridget is probably Victoria's fiercest Collingwood fan.
Hello to all the Collingwood supporters. Good morning. We're still having a great week, aren't we?
She's been insufferable.
And all coming out of the woodwork, aren't they?
And but I do rate the coach, Craig McRae. Obviously a premiership-winning coach, but a guy who is really switched on behind the scenes.
A really interesting leadership style, isn't he?
Yeah, a really interesting leadership style, and so now's the time to start looking at it. And with my ABC This Working Life hat on, I was really interested to hear about what are the leadership lessons that we can learn from Craig McRae's style. And one of the things that was revealed is that they were down at three-quarter time against North Melbourne in an earlier match. And usually the team would expect the coach would go hard and actually sort of start berating them, but the opposite happened.
Yeah.
He said, look, I believe that we've got 6 or 7 goals in us. We can do it. That's what he said. And they were so surprised. They did it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the lessons that I think is so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's the end of the kind of screaming coach on the sidelines. It's
Yeah,
different style.
and the other thing that he said as well that I love is, you know, sometimes at the end of a match how the footballers might just sort of lie on the ground and
Yes.
feel really despondent. He says, look, I don't want you to lie on the ground if we lose, because you're not losers. We lost the game,
Yep.
but you are not losers.
That
and I think, isn't that amazing?
such a great
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes that subjectivity, that feeling as though you're a failure if you lost a game.
Yeah.
For any team to play at AFL level, they're all fantastic, but to make the grand final,
Yes.
and as particularly this grand final, Brisbane Lions did so well. Both teams could have
Oh,
won, but
yeah,
the
absolutely.
best team won.
What
in
a
the
great...
end. Yeah,
it was
what a-
good for footy, wasn't it?
It was great
It
for
was a great
footy,
match.
and well done to Craig McRae for saying those things. But I'm right, you're absolutely right,
And-
Bridget. It could be the end of the screaming coach,
Well, I think
which is not such a bad
sometimes we
thing.
forget you're dealing with really young
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's all people, and this is the thing that I've learnt from the workplaces as well, is that sometimes we do focus on results. You know,
Yeah.
results do matter. However, another sort of mantra that he had was enjoy it.
Yeah.
Find fun in it, smile. And if you looked at Darcy Moore as he was leading the team in whatever match it was, he was always
Just a beautiful
beaming.
leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave a
just
great post-match
beaming.
speech.
So that's why you're smiling now. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're obviously winning that way with a winning
Winning
smile.
glow, indeed.
Winners and grinners.
Thanks very much, Lisa.
Thank
Lisa.
you.
And before we launch into your sports report, Michael, listen, apologies for that conversation. I know you had to listen to it, but as Craig McRae says,